Woot woot. Trigger warning though, trigger warning. I'm about to say something that might set some people off, but it's also the truth. I'm down to 183.2 pounds. Holy crap. So in May I got up to, I don't know, what's 218.6 or something like that pounds. Realized I was a fat fuck. So I've been trying to lose weight since May, and it's been a slow, tedious progression. Currently down to what I just say 183.2, which means I'm about 8 pounds off of where I'm trying to get to. 175 pounds is my goal. That's my old fighting weight, my old Himalaya hiking weight. Maybe I can get down there. I haven't been this weight in not years, but wait for it, decades. It's kind of one of those things when you're young. I don't even remember the last time I weighed 183 pounds. You want to know why I don't remember the last time I weighed 183 pounds? Because I was on the scale one day and I was like, I'm 183 pounds. I guess I gained a couple of pounds. I should probably do something about that. And, 21 years later. 21 years later, getting around to doing something about it. So yeah, down 35 pounds. Is it easy? I don't know if it's easy. It's tedious as hell. It's tedious as hell. But you can do it. You can do it. You can eat better and get more exercise. That's literally my diet. If you're like, let's hear a diet. I actually eat a shocking amount of carbs. You know how you're not allowed to eat carbs? You can't eat carbs. If you eat carbs, you're going to get fat. Funny thing is, most of my diet is actually carbs. Whole food carbs. Brown rice, oatmeal, that type of thing. But yeah, I eat almost everything on a base of, carbs and, got some beans on there, get some fruit, get some veggies, get some tofu, that type of thing. But yeah, eating less and exercising more. You don't have to shoot crap into your arm that costs you $1,000 a month. And God knows what the hell that shit's gonna do to you. Oh my golly. To call some of those results side effects, I think is a little bit of a misnomer right there. But anyways, just one of those things to think about. Because I think that's one of the things that frustrates me. And don't get me wrong, if you have a thyroid problem, you got a thyroid problem. I am not here to fat shame anybody. But the weird thing in this modern world is there's this whole thing like, you can't do it. Not that even I can't do it. It's not that somebody says, look, I have a thyroid problem, ergo I can't do it, which is fine. You do you, whatever. But there's this idea nowadays, you can't lose weight. You can't lose weight. You can't get in shape unless you shove $1,000 into your arm, which is a very, very, again, everything's kind of gotten off the rails. Like, no, most of us, 99% of the population, most likely, if we ate better and we exercise more, could lose weight. Again, 1%, 1% has issues. There's a percentage, I won't say one. There's a percentage of the people that truly, maybe they need Ozempic. Maybe they need semaglutides. The rest of us just need to stop buying potato chips. It's not even put the bowl of potato chips down or the bag of potato chips down. Don't buy that shit to begin with. I just snacked on sugar snap peas. There's a little part of my sugar snap peas. This didn't have Doritos in it. It didn't have potato chips in it. It had sugar snap peas. I'm kind of hungry. I'm kind of bored. I want to shove something in my mouth. So I shoved sugar snap pea in my mouth. Sounds weird. But anyways, just one of those things. I don't know. Everybody's so cryy nowadays. I've been working on the SQLite. Yeah, don't worry for anybody wanting more self-study courses. Introduction to SQLite is getting close to the end. We got like four more sessions to write out for that. And then we'll be filming that tomorrow. Or not tomorrow. Filming that next week. Maybe we can just knock that one out next week. That's the kind of thing I say now. This week, I say, I'll just knock it out next week. We all know how that goes. Anyways, how's your world doing? Thing that I want to talk about today is Google. Google is coming from Guardian. It's also coming from everybody else. Google is killing their diversity hiring goals. And I just find this to be hilarious. And again, this is the whole lockstep, lemming horse crap that Silicon Valley is in. And again, one of the reasons that I get frustrated, again, with a lot of these like technology companies, a lot of modern companies, right? They all want to get on like the social bandwagon, whatever the hell the social bandwagon is. So George Floyd happens, and then it's all about Black Lives Matter. It's all about Black Lives Matter. No more white comfort. That's right. If you're a white person and you own a comforter, the police are going to come for it. You don't get any more comforters. You get the duvet. You get the duvet. No comforter inside. See all these sad white people with these just duvets. They took my comforter. Anyways, all right, remember that. Remember when I said BLSM? And people got mad at me. So many people got mad at me. What is BLSM? BLSM is Black Lives Should Matter, but they don't. But they don't. Everybody got mad when I said that because that wasn't the right thing to say. Don't you understand? We're all on the bandwagon of Black Lives Matter. We have turned a corner. Here's a funny thing about turning a corner. You can turn another one too. Just keep turning. If you keep turning enough, you'll go back. You'll start going in the same direction you were going in before. And one of the things I talked about with a lot of this horse crap is that they weren't baking the structures into their systems, right? As I talk about, right, good systems default to good outcomes, bad systems default to bad outcomes, no systems default to chaos, right? Anyways, and one of the things I've argued about for a long time is, again, they say BLM, they say all this kind of horse crap, but they don't really bake it into their systems so that this can actually be a long-term improvement. Again, I talked about this with Tadum. I didn't know about Tadum until Tadum was killed. Anyways, why does Tadum matter, right? So Tadum matters because, so Netflix, right? George Floyd happened. Netflix was riding high, making all that investor money and that kind of thing. And so they wanted to prove that they were on the right side of history. So they started hiring black folks, right? Not engineers necessarily that happen to be black, not qualified people that happen to be black. They just went out there and decided to hire black folks. They didn't really know what the hell to do with them, and so they dumped them into their Tadum division. And do you know what their Tadum division, and when I say Tadum, that is actually the word, it's Tadum. It was basically their PR blog for writing posts and doing PR about the crappy ass movies and shows that they have coming out. Right? Hey, we're gonna hire all these people and we're gonna dump them there. Well, here's the thing. There was so little value in Tadum that most of us didn't even know the damn thing existed. I never heard Nerdrotic complain about Tadum, or Critical Drinker complain about Tadum, or anybody complain or compliment Tadum, because nobody even knew it existed. It was almost like it was a department to dump token hires. Well, here's the thing. All right, a couple years ago, the Netflix's stock took a hammering. They lost like 2% revenue. Their user growth stopped. They went down by about 2% in 1 month because of stuff going on in India and other places. Anyways, their stock took a hammering. They literally lost 2/3 of their value in like the blink of an eye, like within a month, right? And so they had to go through and they had to start figuring out how to actually make the company profitable and solid and make the investors happy. And so they had this whole division nobody even knew existed. You know the easiest department to get rid of? The one nobody knows even existed. And so anyways, like Tadum just got fucking liquidated. And the funny part was, the sadly funny part, but it was funny part. The funny part was, then you had all these Tadum employees and they were all crying because they were like black women. You had all these black women employees that were getting laid off from Tadum, and they were talking about how racist it was. The problem was, again, for me, being an aspie, I'm like, well, it was racist. This wasn't the racist part, is when you were hired. Right, because that was the whole thing, right? They wanted black people. They wanted to hire black people. They did not want to hire people that were valuable to the corporation, that were bringing something to the bottom line. They wanted to do social justice horse crap, and then they just dumped the people into whatever department could accept them, which was the dumb, because nobody cared one way or the other, right? And that's one of the frustrations I have, like with a lot of this stuff, is basically the question here is, if you're doing DEI initiatives and you're simply hiring people for their identity, how are you going to get them past their identity? I get a lot of crap for this when I say this, but here's one of the questions. How do you become a better black person? How do you become a better gay person? If you are hired because you are black, right? So you get hired as an entry-level black person. How do you get to be a mid-level black person? How do you get to be a senior level black person? What ranks seniority of blackness? Right? Here's the thing. If you hire an engineer, you can hire an entry-level engineer, and you can empower them to become a mid-level engineer, and you can empower them to become a senior level engineer, and you can empower them to go into the management ranks. Right? If you hire a developer, junior developer, mid, senior, blah. If you hire marketing people that you care about, again, marketing people is valuable. Actual marketing people are valuable. Bring them as entry, mid, senior, executive, right? If you bring in people that have an identity, but you're hiring them for an actual valuable skill set for the company, then you can pull them up and they become integral to the company, right? You may fire the black people. You're not going to fire your exchange administrator. I don't know. Does anybody still do exchange anymore? I don't know. They do databases. You're not gonna, I don't know, fire your Terraform engineers, I guess. As that's the new thing. I don't know. AWS has CloudFront. Too many fucking products. You get my point, right? If you have engineers in a position that are providing invaluable services for the company, whatever their identity is, you're just not going to chuck them out the window, right? So if you bring people in under a diversity program and you empower them up, then they become integral to the company. And then when people get laid off or fired, they get laid off or fired because of the actual qualifications and what is going on with the company. And I think one of the big issues that I see right now with so much of these DEI programs is it was all whitewashing or blackwashing. I don't know. It was all washing, right? Rainbow washing these programs to say, we're going to hire these diverse people, just as long as the brain-addled, syphilitic brains of big tech think that's in their interest. And then as soon as it's not in their interest, then they're just going to walk away and dump everything, which I think is so much sadder. Right? Think about that. Think about if you're like a black kid. Think about if you're a black kid of the past 4 or 5 years. And you are told that the country has turned the corner. You don't really quite understand how blocks work. So you think it'll only happen once. Anyways. And think about what your viewpoint would be. And then what happens when the country just keeps circling around and goes back forward again? How much more destructive and devastating is that? Again, I think about that with Baltimore City Schools. So Baltimore City Schools brought in an advanced placement computer science program. Wow, you say. Oh no, it's an Eli story. It's an Eli story. You're not going to say wow. So anyways, right, the politicians wanted to prove how cool they were, and then they cared about the kids of Baltimore City, because the kids in the county, right, the white kids in the county, we're getting these advanced placement programs, so they want to make sure the black kids in the city, they would get an advanced placement program too. So they funded the advanced placement program for computer science. Here's the thing. You get all the black kids from the city going to this advanced computer science program, and they all fail. They all fail. I was talking with somebody that dealt with it. Apparently, every damn one of them failed. Every damn one of them failed. And think about what that does psychologically. Right? Okay, the kids in the county are given this program, and it lifts them up and empowers them and allows them to go to college and all that kind of stuff. The black kids in the inner city get the exact same program. Again, they are informed it's the exact same program, and they fail miserably. What does that say about them? Again, the power is not somebody like me calling somebody like them the N-word. The power is getting them to call themselves the N-word. The moment they call themselves the N-word, oh, we fucking won. We fucking won. Right? And so that's the thing, right? If you have these kids and they were given this program and they all failed, Not 5 or 6, not even 50%. Some of them, oh, maybe I'm not smart enough, but some are. No, they all failed. Well, here's the thing: the government, the politicians, the African American politicians, didn't fund the prerequisites. Right? So if you're going to go into a computer science program, you do need to have the basics of math, you need the basics of logic, you need a lot of the basic stuffs. Right? And again, that's the Baltimore City school system. Don't necessarily have the best of the basics. So the prerequisites for the program were not funded. So you dump the kids into this program, telling them they're getting the same thing as the county kids are. They completely fail. And the black politicians of Baltimore City did an absolutely fine job of making sure those kids knew their place for the rest of their damn lives. Right? Anyways, and that's one of the things to be thinking about with these DEI initiatives. If you're actually doing DEI initiatives, if you're actually trying to empower supposedly disadvantaged people, are you going through the actual steps to, in fact, empower them? So that even if they're laid off, again, maybe you got too many Terraform engineers. Oh, we splurged on the Terraform engineers. We hired a dozen Terraformers, and we only need like 2. Anyways, but if you've empowered people, if you've educated people, if you've brought them up and given them skills and the rest of it, they get laid off, they can probably find jobs other places. I mean, current economy is whatever the current economy is, right? But again, if you just hire them and basically just let them sit and rot, and then you lay them off, where does that get the people past this? What have you actually done for diversity, equality, and inclusion other than rainbow wash yourself? And so that's the curious thing that's going on right now is, again, we're seeing with all the layoffs, we're seeing with Meta, we're seeing with Google, we're seeing a lot of these companies, they're dumping all these DEI initiatives because it's no longer cool, it's no longer interesting, and it is not baked into their system. And I was thinking about this, like think about desserts. Again, we talk about this baking things in the system, is imagine you have a plate of desserts, and everybody wants blondies. Everybody wants blonde. Blondies are great. But I don't know, blondies are a little expensive to make. There's a couple of recipes of brownies. Brownies are pretty good, right? And so you try to get people to eat more brownies. So you create a plate of desserts, and you put some blondies on there, and you put some brownies on there, and maybe you put a few more brownies on there, and then you put some blondies on there. Try to mix it up, trying to make your dessert more diverse, right? You have the CEO of the company come in, or you have somebody else come in. It's like, we don't want brownies anymore. We are only a blondie company. It's very easy just to take all those brownies and dump them in the trash can. Not even worth the compost pile. Just straight in the fucking trash can. Here's the thing, on the other hand, what if you make cookies? We make cookies. And in the cookies, you put chocolate chips. And you put some other good stuff, some Heath bar, some of that kind of stuff in there. Maybe you use a soy sauce, the miso for cookies. Gives it an umami taste. And then all of a sudden you have these cookies, and people like the cookies, and the chocolate chips are baked into the cookies, right? And the toffee is baked in the cookies, and the miso is baked in the cookies. You can't remove the chocolate chip. If somebody says we're done with chocolate chip, it's like, but it's in the cookie. We've created a system. We've created a product where it is baked into the cookie. You can't just get rid of the chocolate chip. Don't think about that too far because it goes into baking. Anyways, right? Do you get my point there? And that's what I see with so much of this stuff is they're not baking these concepts into their systems. Again, things like blind hiring practices. Again, things like, they talk about that with prejudice, for or against universities. Which universities are the best? Which universities are the worst? Right? When you see somebody's resume and you see particular names, what story do you have by those particular names? Are you creating a blind system so all you see is they got a computer science degree at a level two school? They got I don't know, a programming or whatever degree at a level 3 school, right? What are you building into your systems to try to take away the natural prejudice that people have? Again, that's where I talk about Silicon Dojo. Again, authorityless, gatekeeperless, freedom to use your hands-on technology education that empowers you, however you want to be empowered. If you take a look at silicondojo.com, and if you take a look at the stuff that I'm creating, here's the thing. Even if tomorrow I went and I sat down with the Grand Pumbaa of the KKK, the biggest dragon of the KKK that there is, and that wily beast spun me a story, so I decided I didn't want to help anybody else. The only people that deserved education were people that looked like me. Here's an interesting thing to think about Silicon Dojo. How would I make it more racist? Again, if you look at the platform as it is, it's all there. It's literally being designed with the core conceit that even if it was run by the Grand Pumbaa of the KKK, there is not the authority there, there's not the power there to keep people that I don't like from getting education and learning. And that's one of the curious things to be thinking about with so much of this, again, with the tech industry, is they spout all this stuff. And again, and one of the things you hear so much about the tech industry is it's about science, and it's about engineering, and it's about systems. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Why can they build systems for everything else in the world, Everything from dating applications, again, to recommendation algorithms. They can engineer all these systems other than base systems that would default to being equitable. Isn't that a weird thing? Because that's what we hear. This is meritocracy, and it's all about engineering. Can't you engineer systems that are a little bit better on the whole meritocracy deal? But I don't know. We got this from Google. Google scraps diversity hiring goals and cites Trump's DEI order. Because there is nothing better in the modern world than blaming Trump. I know. I mean, it's good. It's nice. You stub your toe? Blame Trump. The economy falls off a cliff? Blame Trump. U.S. troops get sent to Gaza for some fucking reason? Blame Trump. Dude, blame Trump for that one. Anyways, firm rolls back plan to hire more from underrepresented groups and said it was reviewing some of its DEI initiatives. Alphabet's Google is scrapping its goal to hire more employees from historically underrepresented groups and is reviewing some of its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. With this, Google joins a slew of U.S. businesses, particularly in Silicon Valley, that have been scaling back their diversity initiatives. The company issued a statement after the news broke, quote, "We're committed to creating a workplace where all of our employees can succeed and have equal opportunities, and over the last year, we've been reviewing our programs designed to help us get there. We've updated our 10K language to reflect this, and as a federal contractor, our teams are also evaluating changes required following recent court decisions and executive orders on the topic." Again, this is going to be a curious thing, is the whole executive order thing, and how far executive orders are going to go with the Trump administration. I know a lot of people are like, Eli, why are you talking about Trump? I thought you didn't want to talk about politics. I don't. Motherfucker, I don't. I do not. Do not. But the problem is, again, with a lot of these large tech firms, they have federal government contracts. So back with the Bush administration was called the Imperial Presidency. And why it was called the Imperial Presidency is for a chunk of the Bush administration, basically the Republicans owned, both the legislature, the Congress, and the presidency. So most of the stuff that he wanted to push through, he would push through. And then when laws were passed that he might not like, he put what are called signing statements on those laws, which was weird. It's so weird. Basically, the idea being is like, so he's signing this law, right? Sign this law into whatever law, act into law. But then he puts a statement on it to essentially state what his opinion is of what he's signing. So it's like you have this law, and then he's like, what I think this law means is blah, blah, blah. And then he signs that. So the law that gets enacted is based off of how he decides to see the act that came through his weird ass prism glasses. Right? And we called that the imperial presidency. And I thought we all agree. I thought we all agreed that was a bad idea. I thought Democrats and Republicans always like, this is a crappy idea. So anyways, what's interesting now is you got Trump. And so Trump is going through, and he's basically taking that shit to the next level. Again, what Trump does. And so he's doing these executive orders, executive order after executive order after executive order after executive order. The idea with executive orders is, again, they're supposed to be relatively narrow. They're not supposed to be to enact law. But the interesting thing is, again, he is head of the federal government, head of the executive. So basically, he's making these orders. And the interesting thing with that, then, is you have all of these large technology companies that are also government contractors. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, all the big players, a lot of the mid-sized players, some of the small players, right? They have to play by federal rules. So you've had federal rules for the past 4 years pushing these whole DEI initiatives through. Now all of a sudden, in the blink of the eye, again, Trump is pulling all of that and basically stating that if these companies use these DEI initiatives, they're violating federal regulations that can get them into a hell of a lot of trouble. And so this is going to be an interesting thing to see going forward. And again, it's that whole idea of are the DEI initiatives actually baked into the system, right? We have come up with a randomized system for where we do we do college recruiting. So let's say you run a tech company, Microsoft or whatever else, you can only go to 50 colleges per year, right? So a lot of people, they'll just go back to the same colleges. We went to the college before, we go back to the same college. Why do we go to that college? Because I went to that college, or the person before me went to that college. So the colleges we go to are the colleges that we do job fairs at, are the colleges essentially that we went to, and that propagates the same horse crap. And so basically you can have, again, a DEI initiative, right? A bad DEI initiative would be like, oh, okay, so now we're going to demand that 25% of the schools that we go to are historically black colleges or whatever. But isn't that racist? Isn't that against the federal regulations? So now you got to strip out those 25% of the historically black colleges you're going to because you stated that you were going to them because of race. You can't do that. Imagine if you created a system where you just had a randomized group of colleges. We are going to create a group of 200 colleges with computer science programs. We are going to have a computer that spits out randomized results, and that is where we're going to go to recruit people from. Right, that would give you a wider breadth of the types of people that you're actually going to be recruiting. It will be randomized, so you don't have somebody sitting there with a thumb on the particular scale for what's going on. And if DEI initiatives change with the federal government, you can say this isn't a DEI initiative. This is just we created this randomized system so that we could try to get the best out of different diverse groups of people. All right. But again, if you don't create those systems, if you don't bake the systems into the system, well, we're seeing what's happening. Alphabet's annual filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission on Wednesday showed it omitted a line saying it was, quote, committed to making diversity, equity, and inclusion part of everything we do and to grow a workforce that is representative of the users we serve. That statement had appeared in the annual reports from 2021 to 2023. And again, from the face of it, doesn't that sound pretty good? To grow a workforce that is representative of the users that we serve. Because again, we've got a diverse country. Does your company talk to, again, the customers that it's dealing with? Google told employees it was reviewing recent court decisions and executive orders by Donald Trump aiming at curbing DEI in the government and federal contractors. Google's head of HR said in a memo published on The Verge, quote, for example, in 2020, we set aspirational hiring goals and focused on growing our offices outside California and New York to improve representation. In the future, this is awesome. We will no longer have aspirational goals. That's good. That's good. Yeah, we're just gonna get rid of that whole aspirational thing. Anyways, earlier this month, Facebook parent Meta Platform sent an internal memo. It was ending its DEI programs, including those for hiring, training, and picking suppliers. Amazon also said it was winding down outdated programs and materials related to representation and inclusion. Blase, 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 blase. So yeah. So Google is killing its DEI hiring programs. Because that's the current state of affairs. So it'll be curious again. Well, it'll be curious. I don't know. I feel like that's what I'm supposed to say. I always say that, like all these videos. I'm like, it'll be curious. I don't know. Will it be curious? Probably won't be curious. Probably be boring as shit, to be honest with you. Anyways, we'll see what we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But this is where I want you to understand, for anybody trying to get involved with the tech industry, why I've been so frustrated again over the past half decade. Right, again, with this whole thing with employees on company time protesting the company, right, with employees going out there and proudly flying these flags under their company name, this whole push that all these companies have to do all this stuff for humanity, the right side of humanity. And one of the things I've been arguing for a long time is that this is just horse crap. This is just horse crap. Right? If the companies are not serious about building the systems to integrate these policies within their companies, then all it is whatever the current PR stunt is. It's simply, whatever the current idea going through Silicon Valley is. And again, it's the perfect example of that whole collision thing. I almost forgot about the collision thing. I remember getting into arguments about collisions. So collisions was the whole idea when we got to open office plans. So thankfully, back when I was in the corporate world, we still had cubes in offices. Remember when we talked about cube farms and we talked about how evil cubes were? Anyways, so in the 2010s, right? Somebody decided cubes were evil. And so what really needed to happen is that everybody needed to share the same damn picnic table. Again, it was horrible. It was horrible. Like, I would go into development companies. One of the reasons I didn't want to do programming like 10 years ago is I would go into development companies and they were all just like, they would be given like a 3 or 4 foot table, like 2 screens. So they'd have like 2 screens and their thing and their table. And it was one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. They were just literally crammed in there like cattle. We thought it was bad dealing with cubes. They don't even get a cube, right? But anyways, the thing that I was told back then is that it's about collisions, right? The idea that you're around people, that you're talking to people, and you go to the bathroom, right? Going to the water cooler isn't enough anymore. Getting a cup of coffee isn't enough anymore. The more collisions you have, the better it'll be for the company. Again, what I didn't understand is, again, as somebody who has to do work, I'm not anti-collisions. Again, water cooler was fine back in the day, right? Again, you get done with some work, you need to go grab a cup of coffee, you go to the break room, you sit there, you stare at a wall, somebody else sits down, you have a little bit of a conversation. That was fine for collision. But there was this idea you got to collide all the time. And when I sat there, I was like, well, how do you get the work done? And people were using like these horrible ass noise canceling headphones. Man, there was nothing more sad. There was nothing more fucking pathetic. And some of these programmers like with these noise canceling headphones, like doing this at a computer in one of these like open offices, as they like tried in vain to pay attention to the work that they were doing. But anyways, that was the thing, right? For like a decade, nobody shut up about collisions. And again, I was like, I don't understand. Anyways, then we have COVID happen, and then work from home. Work from home. Again, and that's what I want you to grasp. There was the mantra in the tech world for a decade of collisions where you shove everybody in like cattle so that they're bouncing off of each other all the time. And then, in the blink of the eye, no. What employees really need is work from home. They need to be scattered all the fuck over the world and never see each other in person. And I just want you to understand how far that is apart. It wasn't like that we went from collisions to, oh, maybe offices are good. Maybe add some telecommuting to that. We went from collisions to work from home. Anyways, now again, work from home isn't the panacea that we were told. Of course it's not. Anyways, some people need collisions, some people need work from home, some people need to work in the office. Wow, everybody doesn't need to do the same shit. Shock. Anyway, so now we have work from homes dying. Again, Amazon and Google and Microsoft, federal government, they're all killing work from home. Because work from home isn't right. Everybody has to be back in the office again. And again, I want you to understand just how fucking lemmings they are. Again, when COVID happened, all these tech companies were hiring thousands and thousands and thousands of employees because they had to in order to compete. And then like Elon Musk fires people, and then all of a sudden everybody's firing employee. Like, what's the plan? I want you to fully grasp how they don't have a plan. Any fucking plan. Here's how these companies get by. They make so much profit from monopolizing certain corners of our industrial world that they just throw money at crap, and some of it works and some of it doesn't. But they're called geniuses and they're called visionaries, right? Masters of the universe because they're so successful. They're not so successful because they're good at running these companies. They're so successful because they've monopolized certain vital components of how our societies operate. And they make so much money off of that, they can just do stupid shit all day long. Anyways, and we really want you to grasp that. And so again, you get these DEI initiatives. And again, it's the same fucking thing. If you didn't realize black people in the United States had issues in 2018, don't fucking tell me after George Floyd, you're like, oh my God, Eli, did you realize black people had problems in this country? What the? But anyway. And now it's past. Now it's past. Because it's a fad. Because it's a fad. Nobody gave a crap after George Floyd died. They were just doing pantomime. They were told how they were supposed to act and feel, and so they act and felt how they were supposed to. Now that's over. Now that's over. And they're on to the next thing. So anyways. Some things to think about. Again, that's why I talk about Silicon Dojo. Again, Silicon Dojo, what is my real product with Silicon Dojo? I think about that with Dr. Bronner's soap. Do you realize with Dr. Bronner's soap, you know their product isn't the soap. He was actually religious. I think he was religious. Right? He's a real Christian. Anyways, so we want to get Christianity out there. He was trying to figure out how to get Christianity in more people's heads. Right? Because what happens if you didn't go to church? Or what happens if you didn't you didn't care about the Bible, you didn't read the Bible or whatever. How could he get Christianity into more people's heads? And so he realized if he wrote Christian stuff onto an everyday product, people get bored and they read everyday products. Like you might not be bored enough to go and pick up a Bible and read it. Probably don't even have a Bible. But you might get bored enough to just be sitting there one day. You're waiting for the rice to boil or whatever, the pasta to boil. And you sit there and you read the stuff on Dr. Bronner's. And so he's like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to create soap, which isn't the product. And I'm going to slap Christian crap on the packaging of the soap so that people buy the Word of God. And then they are introduced to it and they read it because he was trying to meet people where they were at. People might not be in church, but people do need to wash crap, right? I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking about, like Silicon Dojo. It's like, what is the actual product of the fever dream? Is it Zoom classes? Is it self-study programs? Is it one-on-one whatever? Am I trying to sell sponsorships? What if I'm just trying to sell the idea? What if the product of Silicon Dojo is just the idea? How do we create authorityless systems? How do we create systems to empower each other based off of the concept that me empowering you fundamentally makes my life better? What if with Silicon Dojo, I can convince 1,000 technology professionals that that's a better way to operate? I don't know. Maybe it's just part of the fever dream. Maybe I'm just saying cotton candy and fairy dust and, I don't know, empowering people is part of a fever dream. But anyways, that's the kind of thing that I consider. Because, yeah, I look at the tech industry now. It's such a shit show. It's so horrible. I remember when I could have pride in the tech industry. I remember I was proud. I was proud to be a technology professional. Nowadays, just most of this shit's just disgusting. Again, it's the worst of us. It's the worst of us. It is the most craven of us, just scraping to get enough pennies, right? If they can get enough pennies, they'll get to their $1 billion. I just, ugh. So, anyways, what do you think about Google killing their DEI program for hiring? What do you think about all these other companies doing it? What do you think about, again, the Trump administration using executive orders to try to push this thing through? And what about after years? Again, as we're told, these are engineering companies. What do you think about after years or decades of these companies? They're not engineering better systems. Something to think about. Anywho, I gotta go. Finish a little bit more SQLite, drink a cup of coffee, and read. I like reading. Reading's good. Again, apparently, there's a new Captain America movie coming out. That's gonna be dog crap. I don't care. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna read a book. Why? Yeah. Anywho, that's a story for another time. See you later.